Okay, we're here with Christoph Pleitgen from Wochit, Israeli company conquering the world in online video at Vidcon 2017. What are you doing here, Victor?
I just really wanted to experience a new kind of conference, right? And I've got to say, I'm blown away because if you want to see all of your contacts, then yes, maybe there are other events, more established events, but if you want to come to a conference to actually learn something, this is an impressive event. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Okay, so what is Wochit doing? What kind of platform is it?
So Wochit is a video creation platform. We're trying to solve two problems, right? One is more of a commercial one, the other is more of a workflow one. Commercially, we're quite simply trying to drive down the cost associated with producing short-form video for the internet, which is to say to drive it down from something that's typically associated with broadcast television. And from a workflow perspective, we're looking at that whole process from the moment when a storyteller or journalist says, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea to talk about Trump and the missile attack from last night? And to look at that process until you have a final file for distribution to make it as easy, as streamlined, as efficient as possible. The idea is to open up video storytelling for people who don't have a lot of deep-seated video editing experience.
So the space in the market is, we have videos conquering the world. It's getting more important in media. Not all media companies have this video background, and you guys offer a platform to do it really easy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So obviously that whole field of what is internet video is evolving all the time, right? But for more formats than you think, Wochit is an excellent alternative exactly for the reasons that you outlined. We make it really simple and we open up audio-video or audiovisual storytelling for people who may be great journalists, great editors, great storytellers, but who don't necessarily have that deep background in video editing.
So you have quite a view on European journalism. How are they catching up in the video game?
So I would actually argue, I spend a lot of time in the US and in Europe. In some ways, Europe is actually ahead of the US. This came as quite a surprise. There's a great appetite for engaging with startups. I think partially driven by greed, partially driven by fear. Some people feel that this is an area where they can make a lot of money. Others see it as a strategic area of importance, but they may be afraid of being left behind, or like you said, they don't have that deep video editing experience. But everyone is interested, everyone wants to get engaged, and in terms of the formats that we're observing here, the willingness to experiment with storytelling, I don't think that Europe is behind the US at all.
Where do you see your clients come from? Are they traditional media like newspapers, or is it more in the TV kind of production houses?
So it was mostly newspapers or people who come from a print publishing background. Our first client in Europe was Focus Online in Germany, so a board-up publisher. These days, we're actually finding that basically anyone who's got a story to tell or has an aspiration to tell stories with video will ultimately want to at least experiment with Wochit. So our clients could be people who come from a newspaper background, for example, Süddeutsche Zeitung, for example, The Telegraph in the UK. It could be people who come more from a television background. ProSiebenSat.1 is an investor in Wochit. We are proud to have TV2 Denmark, Deutsche Welle as our customers, but then it's also magazine publishers, right? So these days we see basically any vertical, from women's to men's to teens to cooking to do-it-yourself to news. It could be anyone who's got video stories to tell as our customers. One area that we're particularly excited about is that brands who are increasingly starting to act not in that dissimilar a fashion to media companies are also starting to get interested in this kind of service. So for example, Publicis is a customer. I'm very excited about the fact that Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream maker, is started to get engaged. We're starting trials with Lufthansa. So this is a new area for us, which we're very excited about.
So obviously, internet is heading to video, internet media. What is happening with video? Is it going to be more and cheaper, or is there room for quality as well?
I think absolutely there needs to be room for quality, right? My feeling is that the world doesn't necessarily need more video. The world needs more engaging and more interesting video, right? So you got to strike a balance between making an offer that makes sense from a commercial perspective, right? Making an offer that allows people to scale up their video production, but that maintains quality and that maintains originality. And that's exactly where Wochit plays. We don't see ourselves as a robot journalism company. Robot journalism to us means algorithms are replacing people. Computers are starting to do the jobs of journalists. That's not what we're about. What we're saying is we're looking very, very closely at the workflow, at the production process, and we're asking ourselves the question, where can we inject intelligent technology to make things simpler? But ultimately our aim is always to empower storytellers, to support them rather than to replace them. So that's in a nutshell the Wochit story. And from that perspective, yes, quality absolutely needs to be maintained. What is very possible and indeed very likely is that quality is maybe defined in a slightly different way compared to how you'd think about it for a traditional broadcaster.
Okay, thank you.
It was my pleasure.